cappuccino or an iced oat milk latte, Braeburn has got something for everyone, available at Apple Green locations nationwide. Not a good result if you're a Leeds fan. 2-1 defeat at Fulham today. Precarious situation for Leeds in terms of the bottom of the Premier League and being relegated potentially at the end of the season. Now, listen to this, folks. We've teamed up with European Professional Club Rugby to give you a chance to win 2 tickets to next weekend's eagerly anticipated Heineken Champions Cup semi-final clash between Leinster and Toulouse at the Aviva Stadium. To be in with a chance to win, just identify the mystery voice.
I wouldn't be mad emotional, if that makes sense to you.
Who was that? To enter, text in your answer along with your name to 53106 at a cost of 30 cents. All with thanks to European Professional Club Rugby. So we've spoken about hurling over the last hour, and just to let you know, in the round robin in Leinster at the moment, it is Antrim playing Dublin, remember, and we also have Kilkenny against Westmeath, Leisure and Galway against Wexford. Half time, Antrim 111, Dublin 12 points, so a 2-point lead for Antrim at the moment. 10 football matches in the GAA Championship down for decision this weekend. On the line to look ahead, Mayo's former All-Star Colm Boyle. Colm, how's the form?
Good, John. Yeah, hopefully looking forward to a decent weekend worth of action.
Yeah, can't wait for it, Colm. What's preferable for counties? I'm kind of thinking about this in the last week or two, watching Tyrone Monaghan and that game as well. If you're going to go through the straight route, if you're going to win the provinces and you're going to go through the round robin and be in the quarterfinals, it's a longer road with a winning mentality versus maybe losing a game as Mayo did, having a break and coming back again for the round robin. I suppose what I'm trying to get to, is it a bad thing that Mayo are out of the Connacht Championship?
I suppose that's the $1 million question, John, and it's one we probably won't know until later on the year. I think the general consensus was when Mayo got beaten, I don't know, was it to make ourselves feel better down here or what, but we thought maybe we were better off and not facing Galway, obviously what tomorrow, as it turns out, and getting that bit of break. Obviously, we picked up a couple of injuries throughout the league, the likes of Inter Hessian, Pádraig Ó Tuama was just coming back. David McBreen picked up an injury in the league final and missed the Roscommon game. And all of a sudden, our back line, we thought we'd loads of options going into the championship. Suddenly, we started to look a bit weak. And certainly against Roscommon, it took its toll. I think the National League campaign, the league final the week before the Roscommon game, Mayo were definitely flat. There's no doubt about it. Roscommon obviously fully deserved their victory on the day. And they've got these 4 or 5 weeks. From what I know, I think they took last week off, and I think they got back at it there during the week. So time will tell. Look, I think playing games is good. The one thing about this, when Mayo do get back up and running, it's not just like they're going into a qualifier and it's a once-off game like it would have been before. Even if they lose the first game, they're going to be playing a first seed. It could be a Kerry or Dublin or whoever. Even if they lose that, they still have two, possibly 3 more games to get back up and running and get to a quarter-final. So, look, why momentum was good. I think the fact, look, they've won the league title. They have a chance now to reset, maybe get a couple of bodies back. I know Connor picked up an injury towards in the league. Tommy Conroy still doesn't look like he's back fully fit. So he'll have this time now possibly to get back a bit of sharpness. And hopefully come the round robin format, Mayo might look a small bit stronger in depth on the panel.
Sligo got an early goal against New York, Colm 1-1 to 1 point in that Connacht semi-final. What an opportunity, with no disrespect to New York, this is for Sligo. They'll be in a provincial final, they'll be in the Sam Maguire Cup series, they've won promotion, they won Division 4, their under-20s had a great week, so good times for the Yates County.
Brilliant times, on a bit of a question, a wave you'd have to say. And look, before the game, I thought they'd win this game comfortably. Obviously, they started well, and time will tell how it'll go. But I think, it's a huge opportunity. First Connacht final, if they get there since 2015. And what'll be important for Sligo after that is, because of the unusual circumstances they're finding themselves in, is that obviously chance to win a Connacht title, number one, is brilliant. But into the 4 groups of 4 is very different for them after that. And for them, you'd be hoping that, they don't get a couple of bad beatings in that group of 4. I think it'll be very important for them that no matter what happens in a Connacht final, that they deliver a couple of consistent performances in the group phase of the All-Ireland series, which it does look like they're going to be in. Obviously, they've got to get this game out of the way today, but I think they've started well, and I think they will win today and be in a Connacht final. So for me, if I'm a Sligo supporter, I just really want to see a bit of consistency and to finish, obviously have a shot at the Connacht title, number one, but after that, to finish on a good note of the year, because ideally, they would be going into a Tailteann Cup. That's kind of what I don't like about this new championship format is that the provincial winner does get into the All-Ireland series. I think that likes of Sligo going into the Tailteann Cup would have a huge chance of landing even further silverware or going on a really long run in that competition. So yeah, that's kind of something that it doesn't really sit right with me in that regards. But yeah, huge chance for Sligo for sure to get to a Connacht title or a Connacht final.
Yeah, Roscommon Galway tomorrow. You've seen both counties up close recently. What's the winning and losing of this tomorrow? Who are the key players? How's it going to go?
I think the winning and losing of this is around the middle 8 section, to be honest with you. And I think that's where Mayo will feel they really let themselves down against Roscommon the first day out. I didn't think physically they competed with Roscommon, especially on long kickouts. And I think they let Roscommon off the hook, especially in that first half, playing against a strong breeze. I don't think they used that high press to the way they should have and won enough the Roscommon kickouts. To me, Galway have a tendency to drop off kickouts like they did in the league final against Mayo. I think Galway just need to bring an intensity tomorrow, push up on Roscommon's kickouts, because I think Galway around that middle 8 section, when you look at the players that's there, they have man mountains around the middle of the field like Conroy Maher, Peter Cook, obviously Matty Tierney and Johnny Heaney floating around there as well. I think if they force Roscommon on with kickouts, look to really dominate that middle sector and put them on the back foot, because they have the forwards. That's the thing about Galway. Obviously, you look at their starting full forward line the next day and Walsh, Burke and Damien Comer. That's, if you're a Galway supporter, that's the ideal full forward line for you, really. You've got such a mix of players in there with Comer. Burke is not a huge scorer, but he's an unbelievable ball winner, and he will just win ball and pop balls off to Cook, Matty Tierney and Shane Walsh for them to finish off the chances. So to me, I think Galway look to dominate, get the ball to the boys up top as soon as possible, and not let Roscommon frustrate them like they did to Mayo. So not let them slow down the game and not let them get on top early. And I think if they do that, I'd fancy Galway to win this, even though, in fairness to Roscommon, they have a super record against Galway in particular over the last number of years. Granted, Galway did beat them in the Connacht final last year, but I think Galway almost need to win this more than Roscommon. They losing to Mayo in a league final and then losing to Roscommon in a Connacht semi-final wouldn't be brilliant preparation going into All-Ireland series, just for morale and confidence and the whole thing. So I think, they've had a training week in Portugal. I think they went the day after the league final. They would have had a lot of work done. They would have had a lot of work done in Roscommon from the Mayo game. So I think they're ideally prepped going into this game, and I fancy them to win it.
Yeah, poor Joyce has a winner's confidence. Obviously, he's the manager now, and I just love the way he spoke about the goalkeeper this week. Whoever's going to be, like, he knows who's going to be, and he's no issue with it, Conor Gleeson or Bernie Power, and whoever gets the chance. So I think that's been a real benefit for Galway, who lost to Kerry in the All-Ireland final last year. Colm, what about Kerry then? They play Tipperary today. They're going to win that, we know that, but 12 of the team that lined out against Galway are back. David Moran is retired. Have they developed a bit of depth? Is that something that could be an issue down the line? Where are they at in your view?
Yeah, interesting, I suppose. But I think it's 12 of the team that played in the final last year. Stephen O'Brien's on the bench. Like Gainey is really straight back in. I think, look, Jack O'Connor would be absolutely delighted the league is over, number one. I think the one maybe disappointing thing for Jack that he'd be thinking that no one really threw up their hand in the league. Yes, I think Dan O'Sullivan and Donald Downs O'Sullivan, played a lot of league football, but they're straight back on the bench. And they may be options as the championship goes on, because we know there's going to be more games and you need a bit of strength and depth. But he has kind of reverted back to type and to players that he trusts and knows that he can do jobs for them. But look at that Kerry team on paper, and can they win the All-Ireland with that team? Or back it up, win back to back? Of course they can. Yes, they're very, very strong. The loss of Moran that you mentioned there is one I feel that it's only going to be tested later on in the year. Obviously, we're not going to see this tomorrow or even during the Munster Championship. But where Kerry, I think, will really miss Moran is they're so good at pressing on opposition kickouts and forcing that ball long. But I don't think teams of mine go long anymore when you're not kicking down on top of David Moran. And the platform he gives Kerry from winning balls from kickouts and just his range of kick passing to the Kerry forward line. I think you saw that brilliantly in the semi-final against Dublin. He was a constant supply of balls to the Kerry forward line. So they are going to miss him in numerous aspects. But look, as time moves on, and he is kind of the last of that type of midfielder, the real catch and kick midfielder. So the two players that Kerry have there the next day are very different players, Jack Barry and Jim O'Connor, but they're very good and they do a job for their team. But I think Moran's loss would be huge. It'd be absolutely huge. But Kerry, they have players there that can kind of do different jobs to a certain extent. But I think later on in the year is only when you're going to see that real loss for Moran.
We're going to expect Dublin to win a 13th Leinster title in a row. It'll be a shock if they don't. But what signs are you looking for from the Dubs to convince you they're right back in the mix to regain the All-Ireland?
Maybe be a bit more ruthless. And I know, look, they scored 4 goals in the semi-final against Derry. But there were signs that they were progressing this a small bit during the league and going for goals a small bit more. I think their efficiency in front of goal, 4-6. I know 4 goals with 6 points in a 70-minute game for Dublin is almost unheard of. So I think they'll look at improving loads of areas like that. And look, you look at the team the next day and you look at the bench. Obviously, everyone is kind of glancing to the bench and you see McCaffrey and Dean Rock and Howard and Scully and Cormac Costello. So look at they have that ammo that they once had. Once again, even though they're starting 15, when you go through it there, it isn't as strong obviously as it once was. So, but look, they do seem to be developing a strong panel there. Howard is a really interesting one for me because I know he's had injuries and maybe loss of form, but the Howard we saw in 2019 when he burst onto the scene, if he really had pushed on to the next level, or like it looked he was going to, he would be without doubt starting midfielder there with Brian Finton, because it's an area really Dublin have struggled to find a partner for him. I think James McCarthy has really played there a lot, even though he wears 5 in his back. He plays midfield a lot. I don't think Tom Lahiff is a natural midfielder. So Howard is an interesting one for me. Can he get back starting this Dublin team as the year goes on and probably be the player that we thought he was going to be back in 2019?
Okay, any surprises briefly on the other Leinster games tomorrow? So Dublin going to Laois, but the other ones are Westmeath, Louth, Kildare, Wicklow and Offaly Meath.
I think the most interesting one possibly is the Offaly Meath one. I think everyone is fascinated to see, all the pressures on Meath coming to this, that obviously they know they need to get to a Leinster final and they need to start the ball rolling tomorrow in a win in Offaly. So much pressure going on Meath into that game, and it's one, if you're Offaly there and you're talking about this game, you're in that Offaly camp, you're just saying, get a good start here, let's get out of the blocks early and put all the pressure on Meath and see how they handle that. So huge pressure on that. From a kind of from other areas, obviously Westmeath, Louth, you expect that to be very, very tight. Louth have kind of progressed on, you'd have to say, and Westmeath, since winning the Tailteann Cup, have they slightly regressed? Slightly disappointing Division 3 campaign, you'd have to say, weren't really in the mix of promotion coming into the last 2 rounds of league games. So that'll be very, very interesting for Louth. Obviously, the loss of the likes of Samuel Roy and Kieran Byrne might hurt them, but I think, going to Westmeath tomorrow, they just might win that one.
And then in Ulster's, to finish briefly, Colm, we have Cavan Armagh tonight. No Ulster title for Armagh since 2008. And then Down Donegal tomorrow. Donegal, a lot of disarray. Maybe they'll regroup. So how do you call those 2 matches?
I think Armagh simply have to win this game. To be honest, John, I think they're going to leave everything out there. I think McGee in his 9th year, he's never going to never has had a better chance of getting to an Ulster final. I think the big thing is, will we see them reverting back to the football that they played last year and their kicking game into their ball winning forwards? Because if they do, I think they're so hard to handle, them boys inside. Cavan will absolutely throw everything at them, and obviously themselves, they need to get to an Ulster final, not just for to win a provincial, but to be in the race for Sam Maguire as well. Otherwise, they'll be in the Tailteann Cup. But I have to say, I'm really looking forward to this game. I think it could be the game of the weekend if it's half as good as Monaghan and Tyrone last weekend. I think we'll have a cracker. But I think just out of necessity, out of sheer will, I think Armagh have to win this game, and I think they will.
And Down Donegal?
Yeah, Down Donegal. Look at its 2 teams. You have to say Down were in very similar state to Donegal this time last year. They were a bit of a mess, but they seem to have regrouped, and Conor Lafferty seems to do a really good job. And Donegal, unfortunately, seem to be on a complete spiral. And I saw a tweet yesterday. I think 10 of the team that played against Armagh last year aren't even in the squad, 26-man squad for tomorrow. Yeah. So that's a huge turnaround on players. So look at maybe Down just might win this one, but we'll see.
And Clare to beat Limerick, just very briefly, yeah. One word?
You would think so, even though, look, this game last year went to penalties. With Limerick won. So, look, it could be very, very tight. But I think, look, both teams got relegated from Division 2, but you'd have to think the bounce Clare would have got after beating Cork. You would have to say they're going to bring that in tomorrow. And obviously, Limerick are in a small bit of disarray themselves. So, yeah, you'd fancy Clare to win that one.
Colm Boyle, thanks so much. Enjoy the matches this weekend.
Thanks, John.
Colm Boyle there, former All-Star with Mayo, looking ahead to the GA football and Football Saturday. The other football, soccer, is after the news.
This weekend on News Talk, we're partnering with Make-A-Wish Ireland to celebrate Wish Week, starting on Monday the 24th of April. If you'd like to make a donation, visit makeawish.ie/donate. Remember, where there's a wish, there's hope.